It's Andy's turn now with a new film with a Christmassy feel to it. Andy, do you want to introduce your film?
Oh yes, okay. So I thought you were going to mention another film there, Bob, for a minute. So Mary and Joseph are off to Bethlehem, singing as they go. New musical from the guy who brought us Glee and the man who was behind Disney's High School Musical, and it's called Journey to Bethlehem. Very appropriate for the time of the year that's coming up. Here's a clip.
Joseph, I feel like we're already friends, no?
Harry, God has chosen you to have a son, the King of all kings.
Well, something new, isn't it? Singing and dancing.
Singing, all dancing. Adam Anders, who, as I say, was the guy behind the music for High School Musical and the TV series Glee. This is his directorial debut, and he has chosen to tell us the nativity story in a way it's never been told before, i.e. Mary and Joseph, everybody else singing and dancing. I really enjoyed this. I got to interview Adam. He, like me, happens to be a believer in the story, and he said it's taken him 17 years to get this to the screen. He first wanted to do this 17 years ago. A young woman carrying a baby. What he's done is that he's taken us behind the scenes a little bit of the nativity story. So what effect would Mary's pregnancy have had on her family? I mean, just accept the story for a moment. An angel comes, she's pregnant, son of God. What effect would that have had on her family? What effect would that have had on her relationship with her friends in Nazareth where she was growing up? What effect would that have had on Joseph? And I really love that because it's something that I've often thought about over the years. Mary would have been deemed a harlot. Mary would have probably been kicked out of Nazareth where she lived for having sex before marriage. That was the penalty in those days. Mary would have been really badly looked upon for getting pregnant before marriage. So I think this is one reason why she escapes for a while. She goes to visit her cousin Elizabeth, who it turns out is an old lady pregnant with John the Baptist. The music is very High School Musical. It's very poppy. It's very teen orientated. I had a really good time. Antonio Banderas is in this playing King Herod, and he gets a big solo number. And we know from films like Evita that he's pretty good at singing. The story does take a few liberties with the biblical account. So the wise men turn up at the. I'm sorry to ruin everybody's nativity plays. Okay, the wise men did not go to the stable. Okay, they were not there on the night Jesus was born. The wise men, according to the Bible, went to a house and saw a toddler. Okay, so this is why Herod asked for all the baby boys up to 2 years old to be killed. Sorry if that's ruined.
You're destroying our hopes and dreams here.
I know. Actually, the three wise men in this are played for comic effect, which is something quite new. They're like the Marx Brothers of the film, deliberately played for comic effect. They're sort of bunglers and comic comedians. I really enjoyed it. I thought it's a different take on the nativity story, but it sticks fairly close to the Bible, apart from having the wise men turn up at the stable, which they never did. So yeah,
is there a song, and do they have a lyric to rhyme with myrrh? Go on.
Yes, they do, but I don't want to give away any spoilers. The soundtrack album is available, and I can't think off the top of my head what that lyric is, Bob. Fiona Palmero plays Mary. Milo Mann plays Joseph. We meet Gabriel. We meet King Herod. King Herod's son is given the job of killing all the baby boys in Bethlehem, 2 years old and under, which we know is something that happened. That's the one dark element of this story. And again, slightly unbiblical, but never mind. I thought this was a good, entertaining film aimed at anyone who wants to have a nice, happy Christmas and be reminded of really what it's all about. There is a Christ in Christmas, everybody. So it's good
It
fun.
is quite surprising. It's quite surprising in some ways. This hadn't been done before, isn't it? That
Yeah.
on the back of The Greatest Showman and other successful musicals.
I mean, we've seen the nativity scene in films like Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur starts with the nativity scene. Monty Python, of course, Life of Brian starts with the nativity scene. You know, the BBC did a series a few years back called called The Nativity, in which actually the writer, I will tell you guys, the writer was an atheist, but by the time he finished writing the script for the Nativity, the BBC production, he'd become a believer, looking into the facts and the historical evidence for it all. It's actually Mary talking to a 6-year-old Jesus, telling him the story of what happened.
Okay.
So that's quite a novel approach to it.
Sounds interesting. Is this going to get a cinema release? Do you know?
It's showing in my local Cineworld as from Friday. So yes, it's getting a cinema release. And I would say, you know, I did say to the director, it's a bit of a shame it's being released at the moment. You know, they could have done maybe with holding this off to nearer Christmas, perhaps. But, you know, Christmas, we're going to get the Muppet Christmas Carol reissued. We're going to get, you know, It's a Wonderful Life reissued and so on.
Well,
so
the Greatest Showman was in cinemas for like 15 weeks or so, wasn't it? So
yeah. But stick this in the cinema now. Get people to go and see it. Maybe they'll go and see it again nearer Christmas. If you want to get your Christmas off to a good start and be reminded of the reason for the season, as we say in church, go see Journey to Bethlehem by Adam and...
Okay.
You've definitely sold this one to me, Andy. I was just looking just now. It's not at our Cineworld up here, but there are very limited showings at our View. So I might be able to squeeze that in, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, it's just good fun. It's just a different way to tell the familiar story. And
I'm very familiar with the story, and I'm into the High School Musical and Glee. So, well, we're all familiar, but I like that
head away.
style.
When I spoke to Adam Anders, I did say to him, you know, what is his religious conviction? And he said, did you see the start of the film? And I said, yes. And right at the start of the film, there's a caption on screen that says, this is absolutely based on a true story. So if you want to know where he's coming from, that's where he's coming from. Okay. And of course, I tend to agree. I do agree with him. But yeah, it's worth seeing.
Moving on. Score out of 10, Andy?
Oh, an 8. It's just enjoyable.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's lovely. Lovely film.